So you're considering going either active duty or reserves. This video is going to explain the difference between them and what my suggestions are after being in the military almost 12 years. Stay tuned. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below if you have questions. Make sure you guys smash the subscribe button literally down below. And so we will first start off with active duty. The first pro is there is a set amount of time, knowing that you're going to have a 4, 5, or 6 year contract that is set exactly. You know when it starts, you know when it ends, and that's it. Every contract is technically 8 years, which means that if you get a 4-year contract, you get 4 years of active duty and 4 years of inactive reserve. That does not mean you are a reservist, okay? There is active reserves. I know it's confusing, but inactive reserves just means they mail you something every year and you just send that back and you say, I'm alive, and that's it. So if you do a 5-year contract, 3 years are going to be the inactive. If you do a 6-year contract, there's 2 years inactive. Makes sense. Out of 8 years, it just varies how much time is versus on active versus inactive reserve. I don't want to confuse people with that. So the next part of this, I think, is holding weight in some things that are not tangible benefits, but experience. Your experience in the military on active duty is going to be inherently more traditional route, right? That you would expect out of your military service than if you're a reservist. Deployed, matter of, when rather than if typically. And also you're going to have that camaraderie and things like that. So your experience is going to be a lot more normal that like for what you're wanting out of the military if you're joining versus reserves, but we'll talk about that on their side later on. Next two things here I added were networking and job experience. So while you're active duty, you're going to be able to interact with a lot of people that are contractors, government service workers, people that have gotten out already, a lot of other people that you can ask how to go within your field beyond where you're currently at. People that have been the little E3 that's worked in the shop before that understands you're probably looking for how you can be them and make 6 figures or whatever else. So that is good that you can actually do that on active duty. You're going to have more exposure to those types of people. And what comes with this is job experience as well. So you can ask these people, hey, if I get stationed here, what experience will I get that I can carry to the civilian world? That is very important. So that way you can make the most out of your 1 enlistment, maybe 2 enlistments. That way you can maybe get out and do something where you're not as mobile as you are during active duty. This next part is the pay. And okay, I get it. On a consistent basis, 1st and 15th, active duty hands down is a better pay than reservists. Yes, reservists can earn money, but we'll cover that on. I also want to say you're going to get your full benefits. It's set. Just like your 4 years, you do it, you're done, you leave, it's set. You have your benefits, your GI Bill, you have your veteran status DD-214. You've got everything given to you, healthcare. You're not paying towards that. Like, everything is just set it, forget it. You worry about being in the military versus you having to worry about something else. So yes, I will say the full benefits do make a nice incentive that like once you leave the military, you are able to actually just walk free entirely and be able to kind of shop around for what school you want to go to, what you want to get into, whereas reserves is not as much like that. And that goes into college as well because obviously we do have tuition assistance, which is, a great benefit that you get to not touch your GI Bill, your post 9/11 GI Bill. So that way you're able to knock out classes throughout your entire career and not have to actually touch that. And usually you're probably going to be able to get an associate's done, I would say, with the timeline. They just changed the rules on how that goes, but I would say you're going to be pretty close with your active duty credits that you're going to get, plus your ability to take a couple classes where you will be probably pretty close before you leave the service. And so for the Navy, there's 3 to 4 classes a year. I believe the Air Force, I think, has 4 to 5 classes a year. There's a limit on credits and as far as money. Next part here is the retirement. Now, since I made my last video kind of about this, we did have the old retirement system, which was like you did 20 years, you didn't put any money in, and it was a defined benefit. Now it's defined contribution, which means that the military will match you 5% of what you put in. So obviously, and that's at 2 years, so you'd want to put that in right away. That has changed a little bit, not what it's about, but still the retirement is still better than what you would get from the reserves as far as getting a pension quicker and contributions and things like that. So I will say, if you're looking for retirement, that wouldn't be a bad option. Also, I wanted to cover VA disability because, it is a thing that you can definitely get. If you've been injured while you're active duty, you can get compensated as you leave with your Veteran Affairs rating, which will give you a certain amount of money per month for the injury that you sustained. You'll see people all the time trying to milk this system, but I want to say, while you're a reservist, you can only be covered for things that happened during your reserve time while you were activated. And again, that goes with the benefits of health insurance and activation and stuff like that. So my advice for someone active duty is somebody that is looking to be 18 to like 23, 24, maybe 25, right? A younger person, typically. Age isn't the main bearing here, but I would say somebody that doesn't have a lot of ties, meaning do you have a ton of debt? Meaning, like, is there a house involved? Is there a wife and kid involved? That kind of brings you lesser, on my opinion, someone that I would want to bring on to active duty. And also, I would say career as well. If you do have a stable career where you went to college maybe and you're working somewhere where you can move up and you just want the taste of the military, I would advise you to go reserves on that point. For all the young guys, which is the majority of people watching this, I'm going to say active duty is where you guys probably should want to be because you don't have much going on back home. But we're going to go right into that, onto the reserve side of the pros and cons of that. First off, I want to say reserves is great for flexibility, which is why the person that does have some form of stability at home and they need to maybe move their drill somewhere else, there's stuff called flex drilling. I don't want to go into that. That's not what this video is about. But there is ability to kind of do your time some other way if it's being inhibited from other things, and hopefully your unit allows that. Also, there is the ability to pick different locations that you want to deploy to. There's a list that people are able to look at. Obviously, I don't have that list to publish to you guys here, but if you guys do become reservists and you check in, you can definitely ask about that kind of stuff, about how you can get deployed to certain areas. I've had people that have been activated or deployed to Germany for 2 years, and they enjoyed it. So, and then I've had people that have also been a year activated to Norfolk, Virginia, and I've had reservists also here in Japan with me as well. So there's a big range of possibilities that you can do while you're a reservist. Next pro of this is going to be you get to stay home, but I'll cover the con of why that's not a good thing. But I mean, staying home does have its benefits as far as the infrastructure. Obviously, you've got your family there, you've got your friends there, you've got a bunch of people that are there to support you. So, if you are wanting to just have the uniform and do your time and earn a little bit of your benefits while staying at home with mom or dad and go to school, I would say that might not be a bad idea if you really have that good support system. But also if you have another job, like I said, if you're a career person that's got something pretty stable, some kind of salary that you're okay with, or maybe even a business, you might be a business owner, that might be something you want to consider. Also, I'm going to say there are the basic benefits of like base access, and you can get health insurance for yourself and your family while you are a reservist. Health insurance in general is pretty pricey. I do know people that are on reserve just to have the health benefits because it is pretty good and cheaper maybe than their employer. But overall, you also get the base access, you get the commissary, you get the exchange, you also get the gym to go on to, you have the benefits of being a military member, you get discounts on certain things because you do have your ID card. So there are those inherent benefits of just being related to the military. Also, there are some benefits as far as being a reservist where you will get like a GI type bill that you can use as well. Definitely you can Google that as well. But this is more of an overview. Now, some of the bad parts of being a reservist are it's not steady. So, like, if you are looking to go to Germany for 2 years and you get that, and then there's nothing lined up afterwards to still keep you activated on something you want, you're out of a job technically, and you have to go back home and then work somewhere else. So it doesn't have the same stability of active duty where you do get that first and 15th, you're guaranteed employment the entire time, and you're not really searching for the next tasker that you can go out on. Now, to tack onto the pro of staying home, the con is staying home because a lot of times you'll see people that are back with their friends, they are not, or family, they're not typically near people that are trying to promote them to be better, where I do believe there is some benefit in change in environment and being able to actually meet new people and being able to experience new things that you never thought you would, and maybe get some new ideas on things you might want to do with your life even after the military. So I will say there is some of that in the reserves. Obviously, people come from all different backgrounds, even on the reserve side, but I'll say it's more so where you're encountering these people every day. But I would say you're going to get more dose of that on the active duty side. The next thing here is its inconvenience. It can be very inconvenient for a lot of people that are trying to go on reserves because you work your job Monday to Friday and you're like, crap, now I got to sit here and go to drill on Saturday and Sunday. That can be very frustrating for a lot of people when maybe that Saturday, Sunday you had a hard week and you're like, I really just want to chill. Now you're working 14 days straight, and that can be very difficult on people and tiring. So just anticipate that. And some of the drill areas are further away, which may require an hour or several hours to even get to your drill site, depending where you're at. Obviously middle of nowhere can be very difficult, but just consider that as you're looking at reserves as well. Also, there is a retirement aspect of this. So this is very different than the active component because your retirement time is different. It's done by a point system. Not breaking that down here, but it is different to where that can be something you have to consider as you're going through your career, obtaining points and trying to earn your retirement, and ways that you can be activated to get there as well. So also, I want to say that employment, I know. You're going to say it's illegal to deny somebody reserves that they cannot be employed because they are a reservist. You're right. But I will tell you this. If you are telling somebody that, hey, you're going to be activated, hey, you're going to do this or that, or you've been activated, or it's been high up tempo, or whatever it is going to be difficult. I know it's illegal, but on black and white, it's illegal. But I'm telling you, I've heard of people talking about how that can actually be a difficult thing. I'm just saying from my personal anecdotal evidence, not something that's a factual thing, right? I know that it is illegal, but this is one thing I want you guys to understand is like when you tell someone you are a reservist military member that does drill, that means 2 weeks out of the year, you are already gone. And if it's weekends, they can't schedule you for weekends if you work a job that you need to work on weekends. So just anticipate that being an issue that you're going to have to navigate. Now, to finish this video, I know this question will likely be asked. Can you jump from active duty to reserve to active duty? Most times people are going to say, I want to do reserves, go to school, and then can I jump to active right after? Good question. You can. It's just more difficult to do so than what you're probably anticipating. And that's because there has to be what are called quotas available. And that's meaning, what I mean by that is you may have to jump from your job to a different job, active duty, that you may not want, right? If you wanted to do that. And so there's not always a 1-to-1 ratio of, hey, you're a corpsman on reserves, you're going to be a corpsman on active duty. So just to give you a heads up on that. There is a little bit easier transition, I would say, for people that are going from active duty to reserves, because the reserves isn't spending any money to bring you over. And it's almost like just an administrative process of taking you over to the reserves and then telling you where your new drill site is and where you're going to be at, and kind of just breaking down the basics there. But as always, if you guys do have questions about this or anything else, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below if you have questions. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.